All right. Hey, guys, here we go with a quick evening update because we do have an extreme fire danger as we head into Tuesday across parts of New Mexico, Texas, also into Oklahoma, and critical area, too, pretty far to the north, up into Kansas. Strong southerly to southwest winds are going to start to pick up as we head into Tuesday. Take a look at this. There's a lot of fires right now, not just across really Texas and Oklahoma, but also across the south. Even with the rain, there's been fires recently, and it's the time of year when there's just so much kindling on the ground. You also deal with windy conditions this time of year. It's been relatively dry. And when you do get a rain, even though you may see some precipitation, it dries out pretty quickly, especially when the wind starts blowing and all that dead grass around. You can just imagine. Now, once things green up, our risk does go down quite a bit. But this is a critical time of year, and we've got a lot of wind. Check this out. Heading into Tuesday, this will really start to pick up as we head into the afternoon across New Mexico, Texas, especially here into western Oklahoma and North Texas. And now our wind pushes off to the east into parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. On the north side of this, it's going to be cold, and there's going to be a little bit of snow mixing in, which we'll talk about that in just a second. But look at these values here showing up. This is relative humidity. Of course, it's relative to the temperature. That's why it's called relative humidity. It's why meteorologists look at dew points most of the time when you're looking at moisture content or absolute water vapor in the atmosphere. But what we're looking at here, this is relative to the temperature. And as the temperature goes up, you're not introducing any more moisture into the atmosphere. It's just that now that evaporation point is, it happens much easier and it's much drier. The same amount of moisture is in the air, and the difference between the where the dew point is and the temperature is so far apart that you're getting dew points down, or I should say relative humidity levels into the afternoon and evening hours dropping into the teens and single digits across West Texas. I mean, 8, 9, 10% humidity. That's very low, really dry here. And it's easy to see why the Storm Prediction Center is going with this extreme critical outlook right here. It's extreme. That's why they're hashing it out. That means they're really worried about it. That's Lubbock, Amarillo, Midland to Odessa, Clovis, New Mexico included in this. And the critical area does include places like El Paso, Oklahoma City, all the way up to Norman, Wichita Falls, Texas, up to Lawton, Oklahoma. So a high fire danger as we head into the day on Tuesday. All right. Some storms possible too, especially up across Iowa, Nebraska. Some of these could be strong to severe. And then on day 3, this would be on Wednesday, that risk starting to increase a little bit across Indiana and Ohio. This is a robust little system. So, I think it needs watched. All right, let's look at the snow too, because there is going to be some snow, especially here across the UP of Michigan, where I think somebody's going to get very close to a foot of snow. And then that stripe of snow pushes back to the southwest across central Wisconsin, back into southern parts of Minnesota, Rochester. We may see up to 6 inches, but some places in here may get more. And you can see how that 2-inch line pushes all the way down here into North Kansas, into Nebraska. Some places more than 6 inches, especially right here in northwest Iowa. And that snow could be heavy at times, and the wind's going to be blowing around too. Let's time the forecast out across the rest of the country as we go through the rest of tonight through the overnight. Rain moving offshore, could stick around towards places like Cape Cod. We've got this low here spinning just off the coast. It's going to keep the clouds here along the coast, but eventually we'll start to clear out some. But look at this. Rain-free, at least here, at least through Wednesday. Lows as we head into Monday morning, dropping back down below freezing in many areas. We're starting off in the mid to lower 20s here in much of the Hudson Valley. And once you get up here into the Adirondacks, the Catskills, the Green and White Mountains, I think we're going to be well into the teens, especially into the higher elevations. High temperatures on Monday, though, rebounding. We're back up close to 60 for New York, down toward Philadelphia and D.C., into the 60s here, also out toward Pittsburgh and up to Buffalo. We may crack 50 here as well. All right, let's go to the south. Some drying conditions here across the Carolinas as our low moves away. And then look at this, fairly quiet. Good news here where it's been really active, so the weather looking pretty nice here. But the rain starts to pick up as we head into Wednesday. If you're timing out the severe weather, all right, look at this. This is really impressive looking. Our low wrapping up across Missouri, rain changing to snow back here into northwest Missouri. And there could be a heavy burst of snow here right along the Kansas-Missouri border up into Iowa. And then that pushes east. Out ahead of this, check this out. We've got some severe storms, and this is looking really impressive up here into Indiana, also into Illinois. Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. I think they'll start to initiate right back here across the Missouri-Illinois line and then pick up as they move across the state, also down here into West Kentucky and Tennessee into the evening hours. Now they're moving into Indiana. Now, I will tell you, this storm does not look nearly as strong as the one we just saw, but I think there's going to be some severe weather with this. And then cold enough behind it. Look at that. Some snow moving in to Illinois, Missouri, maybe even Indiana. It's not going to be a big snow by any stretch. Cold weather, we've certainly been colder in the east today. That chilly air pushes all the way into the south as we wake up on Tuesday morning. Really cold, even down here towards Macon and Valdosta, down into the low 40s, 30s up here from the upstate of South Carolina into North Carolina, but we rebound nicely back into the 70s across the south. Really mild across this part of the country. Further to the north, across parts of Michigan, a little bit of snow may impact parts of the UP with a few showers, but most of that skirting to your north across Ontario. And now we're looking at some rain and maybe some mixed precipitation as our storm system approaches. That snow could get heavy at times, especially here across parts of Wisconsin into the UP of Michigan. It's all rain, though, from Milwaukee over to Madison. But as this low wraps up, watch these storms that move up from the south, too, here across eastern parts of Iowa into southern parts of Wisconsin. Some of these could get severe. A lot of wind shear, that change of wind direction with height, that means these storms could rotate. So I think we're looking at more severe weather as we head into Wednesday night into Thursday. Look at the snow going too, though, back here. That snow could be heavy at times. I think we go bang over to snow quick, and it could accumulate too. And I think, how about that? Maybe into Chicago. Certainly not a huge snow by any stretch, but there could be some accumulation here as we head into Thursday morning, into the late morning Thursday before it all starts to wrap up. Temperatures here on the way down for Tuesday morning, but rebounding nicely, especially across southern Wisconsin, although the further north you go, we're still pretty chilly here. All right, further to the west, especially across Texas here, this is our concern area for the fire danger and into New Mexico as our winds really start to pick up out ahead of low pressure, which will start to develop right here across the west plains of Kansas and right here along the Front Range. That's going to really deepen as it moves across Kansas. Strong winds start to pick up around this. Also on the backside of it, some upslope flow here into parts of Nebraska as that air gets pushed up in elevation into the mountains of Wyoming, also into Colorado. So we're going to see some heavy snow here, maybe some heavy rain, and strong winds behind this and around this low. So fire danger, very critical as we head into Tuesday. Also, I think even into Wednesday night. There goes the snow to the north, dry air punching all the way down into Texas, much cooler too behind this. And unfortunately, I mean, if you watch the precipitation, watch this area. Hardly anything falling here, just a big windstorm moving through. And that's one of the reasons, again, we're seeing such a fire danger. Another problem, too, as we head into the afternoon. Of course, today was pretty warm, so we're just baking that fuel, those things that are out there that are just dead. Think about the dead grass and the leaves and things like that. The grass hasn't really greened up yet, and you're approaching some of the modeled highs. Absolutely wild here across North Texas, close to 90, even here into parts of western Oklahoma. So critical fire danger. All right, further to the north, cold here though. Precipitation will be in the form of snow, especially here in parts of Nebraska. We've talked about that into Iowa, southern Minnesota, and then we dry out. And it's going to be relatively cold here. Although Monday morning it's a little chilly, but look at the cold air really moving in as we head into Wednesday, back into the 30s. Overnight lows as we get toward Thursday morning may get into the mid-teens for places like International Falls. Across the southwest, dry across the Four Corners states ahead of this trough, although we won't stay dry for long for places like Utah. Showers, mountain snow showers here, could be heavy at times, and then this lifts out, and we're watching our next storm that moves into northern California. Temperatures as we head into the early morning hours, a little bit cooler in some areas. However, we're going to be back up into the 60s for places like Phoenix, and that cold air, it's not really going to stick around long. We're back into the 70s for Phoenix, a little bit warmer for the Intermountain West too as we head into Wednesday. Snow still going heavy through the overnight into the Sierra. We start to see that calm down also into the Cascades. It will still hold on to the snow showers here. That snow will start to wind down too across the Intermountain West from Idaho into Montana, down into parts of Wyoming too. More precipitation for the Pacific Northwest once we get toward Thursday. So rain in Seattle, snow in the Cascades into the mountains of Oregon, Washington, Northern California, and that snow moves inland too into Idaho. More snow up into this region, also up into the Canadian Rockies and along the coastal ranges. And another system bringing more rain by Friday Temperatures across this part of the country, well, as we get into early Tuesday morning, there are your low temperatures. Of course, cold in the mountains, maybe below zero in the higher elevations. And then as we head into the afternoon of Tuesday, back up into the 40s and 50s here in the lower elevations of Idaho, Washington, also into parts of Oregon. And then as we move toward Wednesday and Thursday, another push of some cool air. You can see it here approaching California. That will knock our temperatures back down some as we head toward Thursday. Long range, if you're here for that, let's talk about what I think is going to happen once we get past this week. All right, there goes that upper low that we're watching tonight that's spinning off the coast. Here comes our big storm out into the plains, and there's going to be a lot of energy with this too. Pretty decent jet streak swinging around this. Good diffluence, that air spreading out aloft. So severe weather, I think, looking likely just with this type of setup. You can see that meteorologically. It's there. Those synoptic features, that's the large-scale weather features coming together here. And then this trough goes negative. And I got to wonder right here, does this end up with some severe weather a little bit further to the east? I don't know yet. We turn cold, and this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to go back to today's midday run of the European, which is kind of weird. And then I'm going to show you the GFS, which is even more trippy. All right, so by next Friday, or I should say really this coming Friday, and heading into next week, the European wants to be pretty progressive with things, and then it wants to bring this cutoff low and really spin this thing up here. That would just mean cold, rain showers, and snow showers. But the GFS has a much different story. It's really trying to get some kind of storm going here along the East Coast. Popping the maps around on you. Sorry about that. I thought I had the GFS loaded, but yeah, this is clearly being recorded live. So if you're watching it later, like, what is going on? This is the newest 18Z run of the GFS, by the way. There goes your storm through the Great Lakes. Colder air behind this system too. That's going to push some snow and rain showers all the way down into parts of Kentucky, Tennessee. It's not going to be a huge snow event, but you get the idea. It's going to turn much colder by Thursday and Friday. It won't last. I mean, it's late March, so how long could it last? This is what's interesting about the GFS. I just don't know that I buy into this yet. The European doesn't want to do this. It tries to develop low pressure right here along the coast and then thump snow for at least a few hours here on the backside of it here for parts of New York, up into Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and that would put a pretty good thump of snow down. Let's wait and see on that. I don't know that I'm really completely bought into this. Zooming in just a little bit closer, you get the idea. Here you go. There's that low developing along your front. There's your snow showers behind your area of low pressure and your trough swinging through. So snow showers back here into New York. I think all this looks likely. The question is, how strong will this low be here? Will it form along our front? And does that give us a quick dump of snow here into interior areas of the Northeast? And does it make it all the way down to New York City? I don't know that I believe it or not. Take a look at the European. It's telling a bit of a different story, but interestingly enough, it still has your low developing along your front by Thursday. I think it's doing a better job keeping the rain into New York, rain along Long Island, and then putting the snow into interior areas. But it could come down still at a quick thump. So pretty interesting to see that, how that's all playing out. And then we dry out here across the Northeast, down into the Mid-Atlantic as we head into the weekend, and then into next week. Again, a lot of questions as to where everything goes from here. Big low spinning here just south of Alaska, quite a bit of a trough here, and I think that means some ridging probably is trying to develop here heading into the following week. We've still got a long way before we get there. I'll be watching it, following it as we go ahead in time, but there's that ridge reflecting back north with that big trough here off the west coast. And I don't know about this. Do we see some kind of trough in the east coast, along the east and the central U.S.? To me, look at that. That is cold. Below average anyway. All right. Kind of a long video. Hope it helps. I'll be back tomorrow with a full update, and we'll go through everything again. Thanks for